right, we are going to open this thing off here discussing the MVP conversation, the odds here. A lot of stuff going on with the MVP. A big blow to the MVP race recently. Joel Embiid, torn meniscus, I think it was,
Yeah,
out for the rest of the season. That is a big time hit to this Sixers team and just the NBA in general. You know, we were discussing before, like he's one of their biggest stars, and he's already, he's gone. So we're gonna get into why that potentially is, but let's start off with the odds here. Vegas has Jokic. Okay, I don't think many people are shocked there. Jokic is currently number one touted to win the MVP because of
yeah.
Embiid going out. Embiid is still technically second, but he's probably going to continue to fall, of course. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, third in the odds. Giannis Antetokounmpo, fourth. And Luka Doncic, fifth. So uh, right now, I don't really know if it's close. I mean, it feels like it always has to be Jokic at this point, unless someone just goes off. He's
Yeah.
just so impactful everywhere. But let me know your thoughts on the odds. Who do you think is going to win this with Embiid officially out?
I think definitely Jokic is 100% the favorite. I don't think there's no surprise there. He would be going on to his third MVP. Now, I think this is one of the biggest blows to the MVP race in a while. I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking about a guy who's averaging 35 points and also one of the best defensive players in the league at the moment. So you're talking about one of Embiid's best seasons by far. And this is really, really tough to see because, like you're saying, this Sixer team, they were on a really nice run. They were looking phenomenal going into the playoffs, and this is just a huge blow to that team. So
yeah,
I got to tell you, sad to Philly fans, man. This is tough because they had a really promising season so far, and we'll see how Maxey rises up to the occasion. He's been phenomenal all year. We'll see how he
mm,
does from now on, and we'll see how the rest of the team can elevate. Paul Reed's been looking solid. He's not been looking bad. Backup center they have.
yeah,
Embiid, he's not Embiid. Is he good? He can be. We'll see. But definitely a big blow there. But I think Jokic has to be the favorite no matter what. I believe they're third in the West right now. I think they're technically tied, or they're like a half a game back. It's OKC, Timberwolves, and Nuggets. They're all like within half a game of each other. They're all
yeah.
significantly close.
Clippers third, Nuggets fourth. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
it's just a
yeah.
half a game. So yeah,
They're all within each other. They're all very close.
yeah,
I, I definitely think Nuggets will probably finish somewhere in that 2 to 4 range. I would think most likely. He
yeah.
has the record to back him up. He has the statistics to back him up. This is not one of Jokic's best years. I believe I believe last year he's technically had a better year, efficiency wise. I know his efficiency's been a little rough this year comparative to the past few years. Not saying it's bad efficiency whatsoever. It's still great, but he's still having a great season. They're still probably one of the favorites out in the West right now. Definitely got to say that he's most likely the favorite. SJ being a clear cut two, I think. If Embiid's out, I don't think there's really a question there. They're number two right now in the West, or they're I don't know. I think they're tied for one, but it's they're I would just say they're two, I guess. But
Yeah, tied with the Timberwolves right now. Same exact record, percentage,
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So
it's exactly yeah. So leading a young team in the West, averaging 31, crazy efficiency, like 6 to 7 assists, very good defense. I don't think there's a really big argument there. I think he's definitely a deserving two option at the moment. I think that's fair. Three, Giannis, of course, it makes sense. I believe they're second out in the East. They're phenomenal season as well. Uh, I know it's been a rough bit, but he had I think 48, like 15, 6, and like 3 steals and like 2 blocks last night. So it's like
right,
it's Giannis, man. He's always going to be there no matter what. He always has the stats and the record to back him up. And Luca has the stats to back him up, not the record. I believe
record
they're
slipped.
yeah,
Yeah,
record a bit. I definitely think he's probably the least likely out of those candidates to get it.
yeah,
Definitely think he's deserving to be there for the season he's having. Another phenomenal season out of Luca. Record wise, it's not in his favor. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary compared to his other candidates to deserve this. All the other candidates in this top four, they're all within each other statistically. They're all having great individual seasons, obviously, but I think Luca's the odd man out. I think between those three are the most likely, but I definitely think Jokic would be my favorite.
yeah. Jokic is probably the clear favorite. It feels like, at least at this point, but I think it's one of those where if Shea just has like a 10 game stretch of averaging 40, which would not shock me, I feel like at least every player that's in that superstar conversation has one of those weeks.
Yeah.
And if in that same week, Jokic kind of has a bit of a down tip, because he's had a couple already this season where he
Yes.
hasn't
Yeah.
looked that good. Obviously, the three ball hasn't really been there for him this season.
Yeah.
Um, it wouldn't shock me too much to see Shea come away with this one. Because he's just been that good for the last two seasons. I mean, like realistically, has there really been a better guard than him? I mean, I don't think Steph's played better. I don't think Luca has really played better. I think Shea's been probably the best guard in the league for the last two seasons. So, um, would be sick to see him win the MVP. I mean, again, leading the Thunder to potentially coming out of the West in a season where Minnesota held it for the most part.
Yeah.
Nuggets still kind of sticking together, and just arguably the best Western Conference we've ever seen
In a
talent
while.
wise. So um,
Time.
to see Shea play this well, really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um, but we wanted to get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this thing, which is the new 65 game rule to qualify for MVP that was
Yeah.
implemented this season. And it's already claimed its first two victims. We've seen Tyrese Halliburton try to play through some stuff a few times. He's had some injury bugs to deal with. And then, of course, the biggest example, the most recent, being Joel Embiid, who's now out for the rest of the season with the torn meniscus. Embiid, his last game was against the Warriors, just did not look right in that entire game, not at all. And it was like so obvious he was just playing to try and meet that requirement. And say what you want about him doing that and risking himself for the Sixers, them letting him play and doing that. It's like at the end of the day, when you're tying financial compensation to these awards, which is pretty much what you're doing, because again, once Embiid's contract's up, if he leaves this contract with one or two more MVPs, the amount of money this dude's going to bring in is just next level, you
Yeah.
know? So the financial compensation tied to it, guys are going to try and play through stuff, and they're going to try and meet this new requirement, no matter how many times they say they're not going to. And I think it's just kind of dangerous. I know it's all the memes of look at all the 82 games played from back then versus now. Yeah, fair enough. The difference being these guys now have been playing travel AAU ball, working out since they were like 10 years old, maybe even younger. So they have not really had any sort of breaks on their bodies since they were children. That's why you see the same injury problems happen in baseball. And
Yeah.
I guarantee you already see an insane rate in baseball of injuries, especially with pitchers. If they started putting in like you need to play this many games to win Cy Young, or you need to play this many games to win Closer of the Year, boy howdy, the amount of big arms going down would be catastrophic to the league financially. So um, it kind of sucks to see guys trying to play through stuff like this. Uh, what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about Embiid and kind of the rule in general?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Definitely tying financial compensation is a big thing to it. And it's too bad that it seems that it's going to stick this way. And I don't know if they're going to change it. Definitely think pace has to do with a lot on why NBA today players get injured a lot more than back then. I think the NBA pace is a lot faster, a lot
Yeah,
more jumping. It's just a lot more, it's more likely to get injured, I feel like nowadays with pace. But like you're saying, they've been put in these situations where they've been practicing their whole lives, they've been training their whole lives for this, and their body's going to break down eventually. And it breaks down a lot more often nowadays than it did back then. And I definitely think that it's hard to say that I would want this rule, and I don't, because at the same time I see a reason for it, but at the same time I also see, like you're saying, it can be definitely a bad thing. And as of right now, I think so far it's been a failure. I
yeah,
think two of your best players in the NBA are out. I mean, you have a top three player out for the rest of the year. You have Tyrese Halliburton, who is an emerging superstar point guard, out for indefinite with a hamstring. I think he's playing now, but he, like you said, he's already missed a good amount of games, and he tried to play through it, and he re-injured his hamstring, I think it was. So it's
yeah. In
like,
that Blazers game, I think.
yeah, it's tough, man. And he's a game time decision today, but I don't know. It's right now. I think it's been a failure. The 65 game implementation. Think they're definitely gonna have to work around it a bit more, maybe more add more leniency to it because yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's enough time realistically for the current NBA.
Yeah. And on that note too, we didn't talk about it beforehand, but it just made me think about it. They also implemented the rule to like get rid of the whole load management thing.
Yeah,
And while I think that there's are an argument to be made that that was needed because guys were really taking advantage of it,
yeah,
like just as a Warriors fan, like on the road at 35 years old, Steph Curry just played 41 minutes of basketball against the Hawks after playing like I think 30, sound like 33, 34 against Memphis.
yeah,
You know, like again, not everybody's LeBron James, man. Not everybody can just like, oh, I just played 75 minutes of basketball. I'm good tomorrow. Most guys, almost every single player in the league, even LeBron, needs like they need time. They need time to heal. They need time to rest. I understand that it is a financial hit and it sucks for fans when guys get hurt, but I just, I worry that a lot of guys who aren't used to this, because, that's kind of what happens is drastic changes like this where they're playing a lot more, a lot harder. Um, it can be pretty problematic and
yeah.
really cause some issues. So, on that front, what do you think about that rule? Because that probably plays into this as well.
I definitely think it does 100%. And I think load management that is definitely 100% tight end no matter what. And it
Yeah.
sucks to say it, but it's somewhat worked. Obviously, the Clippers have been phenomenal this season. Kawhi's played a lot of games. Paul George has played games. They look phenomenal. They're a very fun team to watch right now. Probably
Yeah.
one of the best teams to watch. They're super fun. And it's because of this rule. But at the same time, like you're saying, load management is tough because, yes, you have someone like Steph Curry, age 36, 37.
Almost 36. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, man, his body's getting beat up right now. He's playing constant minutes. He cannot miss games. He has to play for this team right now, and he cannot take a rest. He cannot take a breather. The Spurs obviously were one of the biggest founders of load management, and it's proven to be successful. And I think that they're going to have to take a step back on this because I think load management is needed. Do I think there should be a limit of games? Yes, I think there should be rules to load management for sure. And I think that they maybe struck it a little too hard and they maybe should have cooled it down a bit on the load management rules. They should have maybe implemented a 5 game limit or something along the lines of that instead of having no load management whatsoever, unless there's an injury at like that's
Yeah.
that was what would the word be? I guess alerted to the league, I think is what it was. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
every injury has to be alerted right away, right? Or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like it would be better too if they had like a non-partisan doctor, like just an NBA team doctor. Well,
Yeah.
no, because that's a conflict of interest, but just like a secondary doctor away from the team in the league. That's like, yeah, he's hurt or not. But I also think like the number one rule that should be implemented for this is guys don't have to play on back to backs. If you're a star, if you're someone, if you're like the best man, it's a back. Like, come on, dude. Like
Yeah.
these guys, they're playing on, especially when their schedules, because schedules aren't equal. Some teams are going to play an insane amount of back to back. Some teams don't have to play too many, or they're
Yeah.
very spread out. Or some of them, it's like back to back, 3 games, back to back, 3, 4, 5 games, back to back. It's like it's so much. It's
It
so
is.
much too quickly, and again, it's just you see Embiid go down like this, and you're really just like, ew. You
Yeah.
start to worry about the rest of the guys because Embiid does have the chronic knee issues. It's not like he's no spring chicken or anything, but still, we've seen plenty of guys go down, and you wouldn't want to see it continue to be because they're trying to get to a certain reward requirement or award
Yeah.
requirement.
Exactly.
So to follow up here with the MVP stuff, Joe Dumars, the head of the Players Association, came out and made some rugged comments, I would say, not something I think the players are probably feeling too hot about, but
Yeah.
fans as well. Joe Dumars, the headline here, clutch points. Joe Dumars gets real on unintended consequences of Embiid's MVP situation. Uh, Pretty much, his quote is, "You're always going to have unintended consequences." That's the first thing. The second thing, you kind of knew that the first couple of guys that were going to get close to that mark, it would become an issue. So it probably was going to become a talking point at some point. It could have been a month from now. The number is what the number is. I'm not surprised though. So, not really something you want to hear about. Like, yeah, we pretty much knew guys were going to get hurt trying to chase this. So it's like, why would you do it
Do
then?
it.
It's
Yeah,
like,
why
yeah,
would you do it?
because what if we go in the next season and Embiid's never the same? Knock on wood, of course. But like,
Yeah,
seriously, what if this is the big one that, I mean, imagine if that's what happened in 2012 or 2013 with Derrick Rose.
yeah,
Imagine if they had that rule then and Derrick Rose was fighting for the MVP and boom, that's when the ACL goes and it's like that dude's never been the same. So I really would hate to see that be the case with Embiid, and I don't really like hearing it from Joe Dumars. How do you feel about those comments?
I'm exactly the same way with you, man. I would be as an NBA player and as a fan, that's like that is just straight dirt to their face, man. I mean, you are the president, or not the president, but you are a high ranking NBA place within just everything. And you say that, and it's like you're saying, it's like you're expecting injuries. And why would you want any sort of any issue like this with a player that is like top five in jersey sales? The MVP favorite, obviously. It's like it
All
is
right.
a guy who's averaging 35 points a game, and I think that's really low of someone to say right after that. I think that was before the severity of the injury came out, though, right?
Yeah, it was I think it was like after the Warriors game, so before the
Yeah,
MRI and everything.
I guess maybe he wouldn't have said that. I would hope because
Hopefully, yeah.
he didn't know the severity of the injury, sure. And to be honest with you, I didn't think it was that bad either. I didn't think it was like that, but seeing that it is a meniscus tear, thank goodness it's only a meniscus tear.
Yeah.
That not a great injury, but it's not bad, not
It's not
whatsoever.
ACL.
Not ACL, not Achilles, nothing along the lines of that. He's going to be fine, but definitely pretty low thing to say about someone like that. I disagree with that heavily. It's too bad that someone that high ranking would say that. Definitely think they're gonna probably change that though. I really think as the more I think about it, I think the 65 games gets changed next year. I don't know what to, but I definitely think it will be.
Yeah, it's just I think it's one of those things where it feels like a useless rule because it's one of those where if we're if let's just why not have the hey, when you're considering this, when the media is considering voting or the coaches or whatever, like just keep in consideration games played. That's all you got to do is it's like just keep into consideration, and I think it's fair because it's like we can judge how important and integral a player is to their team with or without games played. I don't because
Exactly.
again, most valuable player. It's
Yeah.
like without Embiid, are the Sixers that bad? Honestly, I don't know. I think like we're gonna have to like you said before, we're gonna have to see how Tyrese Maxey kind of carries that load, but I
Yeah.
don't think they're gonna be atrocious. So
No, I don't
personally,
think.
even though
Yeah.
Embiid was going nuts, like
Yeah.
I don't even know if he would have won the MVP because I don't know if he really is the most valuable player in the league.
Yeah.
Like I still think it's
Yeah.
probably Jokic.
In terms of that, I do agree with you. I think statistically that was like the most insane season we've seen in a while. Like that was like
Yeah.
Harden of
35, 11, and 6,
yeah,
shooting
that's
over 50% from the field. Like that's pretty ridiculous. And
it is
again, like you said, elite defense.
defensive impact, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy to say like someone was doing all this on a nightly basis, and it's like it's crazy to think that one of the best MVP seasons got shut down due to something like this. And I mean, it's too bad he didn't have the opportunity to rest. And this
Yeah.
probably doesn't happen. I mean, it is what it is, but it's definitely very, very too bad. It was a very fun season. I know a lot of people aren't fans of Embiid for reasons, and I understand maybe some fans, but
Fair reasons. Stop fucking flopping,
I
Joel. Okay. I like you, but god
like it
damn it.
too,
Just
but
Shaq
sometimes,
got fouled. You don't get fouled.
yeah, you're a
I feel the
300
same way about
player.
Harden. I feel the same way about all the people that do that. All right. I have to
Stop doing
watch
it.
Steph Curry get bounced around like a fucking pinata and get zero calls. All right.
He throws on a
I
65,
am sick
but
of 7-footers
I
phantom
mean,
flopping. I can't stand
exactly.
it, dude. But I
Yeah.
can't. You can't deny how great Embiid is. You just can't.
Oh
Like,
no, dude, 70 points. Just
yeah, not
70
arguing how great he is. Yeah,
70
insane.
point game. It's like you got a guy who dropped 70 points just a few weeks ago. It's like
Yeah,
this guy's a phenomenal talent, and it is really too bad what's been stripped away from him. A season where it was a historical season for sure, no doubt. He would have been. I do agree with you on the impact part, but I think he was definitely statistically most likely going to be rewarded the MVP for it. And I wouldn't be mad. He's averaging 35, 11,
yeah,
and saying I'm not
yeah.
too mad about it. Definitely think that some very low comments from Joe Dumars though, man. I think I hopefully he wouldn't have said that if the regarding if he knew the severity of the injury, but I mean it's something questionable to say from someone that high ranking in an NBA position like that.
100%. 100%.